Hey folks, I hope this is working. I'm not gonna know for a minute. Happy opening day. There we go. I think we got it. So we're gonna have Lulu throw out the first pitch for opening day. How you feeling today?
Good.
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, back up 3 steps and give it your best. Into the stretch. Very nice. Right to the catcher. And here's the ball. And we've signed it. And we're going to hear more from you later?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. Happy open. Brooklyn, Robinson. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Let's do that. The whole connecting thing seems a little sketchy right now. Hopefully it'll hold for us. Nice to see y'all out there. Pull up a chair. Spend a little time. Here we go. We're all undefeated. It's opening day. Everybody's shoulder feels okay. Legs are fresh as young ponies at play. And everyone could be MVP. It's opening day. The uniform sign, the grass is bright green. No one's made an error, ERAs are pristine. Pennant hopes simmer from Wrigley to Yawkey Way. And if you're lucky, your grandma will take you to opening day. Opening day, opening day. Visitors take the diamond in the traveling grays. Opening day, opening day. A single up the middle and you're batting a 1,000. Hooray! I see Steve Poltz out there. I see Danny Navarro out there. Last time I saw those guys, I was on a stage with them in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, just a couple months ago. And we sang baseball songs. We also had Eric Nadell up there on the stage, the Hall of Fame broadcaster of the Texas Rangers, and he was telling some baseball stories while we were singing some baseball songs. He sang Meet the Mets, too. He actually sang Meet the Mets. We got him to do that. Vanessa Peters was up there, too. Right after that, there was another panel of songwriters, and David Olney was one of those. And he didn't make it through that set. That was very sad. That was the last time I saw those guys. Opening day, gentlemen, start your engines up and away. Opening day, this is a year, oh yeah, it's gonna be okay. You called in sick and got you a ticket. You can't wait to see the painted lines and the bricks, popcorn or peanuts. You get your choice. Scully's had 6 months to rest that golden voice. Winter coats and gloves and hats I put away. It's opening day. That's right, play ball. That rookie could be the next Willie Mays. like saying that, so I'm going to say that again. That rookie could be the next Willie Mays. It's opening day. And it's really trying, finally here. It's opening day. Did you know that on opening day for over 100 years, every opening day was just one game, and it involved the Cincinnati Reds, and that's because the Cincinnati Reds were the first all-professional baseball team back in 1876, I think, 1867. That's still around. Well, no, they were the first pro team, and they were undefeated. They went 76-0. They just beat everybody. They must have gotten all the best players and just paid them. Now on opening day, all the other teams play too, I think. But for years, it was like that. I grew up in Iowa, which didn't have big league ball, so mostly when I was growing up, I read about it, which is probably why I started writing songs about it, you know. I just approached it that way. First place I lived with big league ball was in Chicago, and I lived 8 different places in the first 3 years, and every one got closer and closer to Wrigley Field till I could actually hear Harry Carey singing on the 7th inning stretch out my window if I didn't go to the game, which was rare when I didn't go to the game that first couple of summers. One time I was at an open mic down the block from Wrigley late at night, right by the L there. And I remembered that, you know, I'd probably had a few by that point. And I remembered that it was a couple weeks before the season started, and they were doing some work on the park. And one late night in Chicago, I break into Wrigley Field. It's early spring season and starting for a week. It's a little after midnight, I've been playing down the street at an open mic at a little bar just under the L tracks. I'd noticed for a couple days that they've been doing some work on the ballpark. They got scaffolding up. That's right. I climb in. Tonight I got the ballpark. This is one you can sing. Tonight I got the ballpark. It's easy, it goes like that. Tonight I got the ballpark all to myself. Well, I go check out the bat rack and I straighten out my hat. I sit down on the bench where Fergie Jenkins sat. Walk out to the mound where I stretch, and then I glide. Fire a couple hind tight, then strike out the side. I step to the plate, take a couple low, swing with all my might, watch it go. Curly and Larry, I did announce a couple innings from the press box, just me and Harry Carey. Durham just missed connecting with that pitch, huh?
This one's for the folks out of Evanston.
I make a leaping catch against the ivy-covered wall. Yeah, the early season ivy is a cushion to my fall. I glide in from the warning track, my cap, it tips the crowd. Float across the infield, it's really getting loud. I head toward third, turn on a dime, head for home, head first slide. Sandberg in his prime, tonight I got the ballpark. Tonight I got the ballpark. Hey, tonight I got the ballpark. Two over here, yeah. Mustard, yeah. Oh, and a peanuts. You want a couple beers? All to myself. Did you think he was safe? Really? No, I didn't know. All to myself. That's a true story. A lot of times it doesn't matter if a story's true or not, if the song's good, but that just does happen to be true. On my way out of there, I climbed back up the scaffolding, dropped down, I was back on the street, and then some guy's like right on me, he says, don't move. And I'm like, what? He said, do you know my partner's in there with a 38? I don't know. I don't think he was, because I didn't see anybody. I was in there for like 2 hours. But I said, no, I don't know. He says, who's with you? I'm like, I work alone. And he looks at me for like 10 seconds. We both like freeze. And he says, take a walk. So that was my night. It was quite a night. Well, the broadcasters, now those guys are the poets of the game. It's been really cool to get to know Eric Nadel the last couple of years. He's a big music fan, so he shows up at some of the music festivals, and but he's been with the Texas Rangers, I think, for 40 years. He's in the hall, and the last couple of years when he's come to Oakland with the Rangers, we've gotten to go up and sit in the press box with him right there, watch him announce the games. He hasn't yet said, well, Dan, maybe you'd like to announce the fourth inning. Hasn't happened yet, but it could. I'm ready, sort of. Well, of all the great poets of the game, the broadcasters, the guys there in the booth, of all those guys, one guy might be, well, certainly my favorite, a lot of people's favorite. Tonight I feel so far away from you. What'd you do tonight? I'm driving my truck up and down the coast from north of Seattle to the Mexico line. Right now I'm in San Bernardino. All day long it was 95 degrees, but at least tonight I get to hear the golden voice of Scully. I've been stuck in this going no place desk job for too many months. It's time to move on. If I quit and just tried to do my paintings, I wonder if I could come up with a rent. I still root for the Yankees back east. Never did take to these local teams, but at least tonight I get to hear the golden voice of Vince Scully. I do my share, I knock about. Anything gonna work out? Now sometimes I'm almost out of range. I head south of the valley, pick up the game, pull off the road, jump out of my van, lean against the hood, still hot from the drive. Trees fade out in the black of the night. Sometimes it don't hardly seem worth the fight, but at least tonight I get to hear the golden voice of Vince Scully. Trees fade out in the black of the night. Sometimes it don't hardly seem worth the fight, but at least tonight I get to hear the golden voice of Vince Scully. The golden voice of Vince Scully. Sort of a mixed up kind of different kind of opening day, to be sure. We're still being brought to you by Farmer John's. Why not have one or two? Heck, if I had known the season was gonna be so short, I might have never retired. Some of you may have actually seen Vin recorded a message just in the last few days, just kind of talking about what's going on, and it was real nice to hear his voice. It was just it's always a comforting thing, I guess, to hear his voice. Speaking of great voices of the game, in the Midwest, when I was growing up, there was a guy named Halsey Hall for the Minnesota Twins. And our good friend Dave Curl back there in Minneapolis said, well, why don't you have a Halsey Hall song? And that seemed like a good idea. I remember being in Scott Gasway's basement. He had a pool table, which was kind of a big deal. Steve Sargent had a pool table too, but Scott Gasway lived in Cedar Rapids, so we would listen. He was a big Twins fan, Bly Levin, all those guys. So we'd listen to Halsey Hall. Halsey Lewis Hall was the voice of the Twins. Twins, cigars, and glasses of scotch amongst his sins. Halsey Hall's voice rang through the Midwest fields of grain, and the fans listening to him would always pray for rain, 'cause then he'd tell his stories as only he could tell. with the liquor bottles clinking in the background like a bell. He brought to life Jack Dempsey, Babe Ruth, and Willie Mays, but nothing could compare to the Killebrew days. Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, the ball's over the wall, Halsey Lewis Hall. Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, before Harry Carey or Phil Rizzuto too. Halsey Hall was saying, holy cow, yes it's true. Oh, that's the wrong one. What the heck? I can't. Hey, you brought me the wrong one. I said kraut, no mustard. This has mustard, no. Okay, thanks. That's the right one. Okay, good. We good? Okay. This Halsey Lewis Hall, he was the voice of the twins. The twins, cigars and glasses of scotch amongst his sins. Halsey Hall's voice rang through the Midwest fields of grain, and the fans listening to him would pray for rain. Here we go, help us out. Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, balls over the wall, Halsey Lewis Hall. Holy cow,
Holy cow,
holy cow, holy cow, before Harry Carey or Phil Rizzuto too. Halsey Hall was saying, holy cow, yes it's true.
why up there? Why up there?
Well, why not? Sounds different. You gonna be back later? All right.
I don't like it when you do it.
You don't like it when I do it up there?
Sounds weird.
Okay. Well, thank you for your vote. Gonna do a few readings from some books, just short little pieces. I realize it's a reverse, but this is called Bases to Bleachers. It's a compilation of folks' stories about their remembrances of the game. It's by a guy named Eric Gray. Gonna read this one. This is from Ivan Kuznets in Melbourne Beach, Florida. My dad took me to my first baseball game in 1937 or 1938. I was 8 or 9 years old, and I was so excited that I ran around the neighborhood, telling all my friends that I was going to Yankee Stadium. The Yankees were playing the Washington Senators. At that time, the Senators weren't very good, and their slogan was, first in war, first in peace, and last in the American League. But the Yankees were playing the Senators, and the game wasn't going well for the Yankees. By the bottom of the ninth, the Yankees were losing by 3 runs. Finally, the Yankees loaded up the bases, and with 2 outs, the great catcher, Bill Dickey, was coming to the plate. Bill Dickey wore number 8. So did Yogi Berra. The number's retired. It's for both of them. The crowd was going wild. After all, Dickey was not averse to coming through with a clutch hit with men on base. As he approached the batter's box, my father announced that we had to leave if we were to beat the traffic. Begging was useless, and so we left. Remember, this was 1938. How much traffic could there have been? Of course, we avoided the traffic of the parking lot. My father seemed proud of his decision to leave before the rush. As for me, I sat in the front row sulking, front seat sulking. I was to feel even worse as we neared home. My friends were in the street excitedly waiting for me. As it turned out, Bill Dickey had hit a grand slam home run, clearing the bases, and the Yankees beat the Senators by 1 run. Boy, was I upset with my father. The other thing that I never forgot about that day was it was the only time I ever saw Lou Gehrig play. That's from Ivan Kuznets, Melbourne Beach, Florida, from Bassist To Bleachers. Eric Gray's fine book. Well, it's pretty obvious that baseball is something that connects the generations. Maybe that's its greatest glory. This is about a good friend of mine who I just spoke with yesterday. I'm happy he's well. Sick, he'd have made the big leagues, just like his hero, the Mick. He wore number 7 on his back like the Mick, but his knees got sick, so he had to quit. He had the quickness, he had the size, he could hit a ball further than Johnny Mize. He was blonde on top, but his knees went pop, so he had to stop, had to give it up. If you get thrown out of the game and get sent on your way, you can come back the very next day after having had your say. But that's on a field of 9, which is not ruled by time, and it don't work out so fine on this side of the white lines, on this side of the white lines. Sick, they'd have argued nights over their World Series pick. Who's better than the Yanks? Who's better than the Mick? He was tough as a brick, but he still got sick. They were close as a father and son could be, close as the surgeon is to the knee. He waited for his dad to make his climb, but he wasn't gonna get better, not this time. Not ruled by time, and it don't work out so fine on this side of the white lines, on this side of the white lines. Plays softball now when he's got the time, when he ain't too beat and my knees feel fine. He ain't forgot how to swing that stick, and he says to himself, just like the Mick. Ty Cobb never got to face Dizzy Dean. Joe Jackson's best was never ever seen. He held a private funeral mass, all alone in the park by the outfield grass. You get thrown out of a game and get sent on your way, you can come back the very next day after having had your say. But that's on a field of 9, which is not ruled by time, and it don't work out so fine on this side of the white lines, on this side of the white lines, on this side of the white lines. One time, ran into a guy named Evan Stone. He was the high school friend of the then high school son of my friend Chuck Plotkin. And Evan was by the way, drinking the kombucha today. The kombucha and the chai. It's not Peanuts, Cracker Jacks, and beer, but, you know, we evolve. Evan Stone was a high school pitcher of some repute. And he said, hey, could you write a song about me? And I said, well, sure. Tell me about you. So he told me a little about himself. So, wrote this one. I'd like to report that he then picked up a few miles per hour on his fastball and made the big leagues and all of that. But that's not true. You know, I'm not the babe telling a kid he'll hit a home run for him and then the kid gets better. But I think Evan Stone did quite well for himself in life, regardless. Some of you seem concerned about my shirt. Because it's a hockey shirt, but it's a baseball style. See, it's really a baseball jersey. We have a big sponsorship with the Saskatoon Blades, so we get all our clothes from them. So that's how that goes. And we got the Mawa Little League team here. There's a lot of different hats we could have worn, but we're wearing the Mawa Little League hat today. Evan throws a hard ball for his high school club. 83 miles an hour on the radar gun. Scout says, get it up to 90, kid, in a year or two. Scouts from the major leagues will come looking for you. And it's 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour from Easy Street. 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour from Easy Street. His mama says playing ball is too uncertain, son. Go to college, get an education like we done. His dad says, son, the junkyard is littered with the arms of high school pitchers who threw 83 down on the farm. And it's 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour from Easy Street. 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour from Easy Street. I remember when they came looking at Jenkins. I thought for sure he'd get in. But Jenkins never had what this kid has. You can tell by the way he holds his chin. And it's 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour from Easy Street. Try it. 7 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour, One of the most enduring legends of the game was when the great Babe Ruth visited a sick kid in the hospital just before the World Series. And the kid was not doing well, not even expected to live. And he asked the Bambino if he would hit a home run for him in the World Series. And Babe Ruth said, "Sure, kid, I hit a homer for you." And he hit not one, but not two, not three, but 4 home runs in that series. And the kid got better with each one, grew up. And it's true. This is a book about it called Babe and the Kid. Here's a picture of Babe Ruth and the kid, Johnny Sylvester. After the kid had gotten better. This was Johnny Sylvester as a grown man with his own grandson. When Johnny Sylvester heard that Babe Ruth was dying in 1948, he made sure he got to Babe Ruth's bedside and stood over his bed as the Babe had done for him. So I get this song about that, and I'm also proud that that the song is in this book. They put the song in the book. How cool is that? What did they say? Well, they said some stuff. Anyways, let's hear that song. He looked like an apparition, like a ghost without the sheet, but his eyes burned like a stovepipe as he limped along the street. He walked by me slow but firmly, knew he wouldn't stop to chat, but I thought that I might help him. Shook his head and touched his hat. He said, "I come to see the Babe. They say Babe Ruth is dying. Come to lift his spirits just like he once lifted mine. Can't promise any homers, I'm no sultan of SWAT, but I'll be up there swinging with everything I got." Years ago I lay in bed, my life hung like a robe. My sickly frame was racked with pain. They said there was no hope, but the big guy would have none of that. He just sneezed at tragedy. He hit 4 home runs that series. Each one was for me. Thanks to those arcing wallops, my wretched body healed. Thanks to the greatest player that ever took the field. And as he stood above me, my eyes alert but dim, I never thought that someday I'd be staring down at him. I come to see the Babe. They say Babe Ruth is dying. Come to lift his spirits just like he once lifted mine. I can't promise any homers, I'm no sultan of SWAT, but I'll be up there swinging with everything I got. Before there was Pa Bunyan, before old Honest Abe, before there was John Henry, there always was the Babe. Took 100 million spirits and said, "Dare to be a land." He took one dying child and said, "Stand up and be a man." And I come to see the Babe. They say Babe Ruth is dying. Come to lift his spirit skeleton of SWAT, but I'll be up there swinging with everything I got. Yeah, sometimes our legends are true. How about that? No, you got the wrong row. No, you're in, no, you're not even in this section. Sorry, no, we've had these tickets for a while. Are you gonna eat the rest of those peanuts? Yeah, I'll take them. Do you want a cotton candy? It's a 2-word. Let's get a cotton candy. You want a cotton candy?
I'll go.
Okay. The Pete Rose saga continues to be a compelling thing. Lately with the stealing signs thing that the Astros went through, I think Pete took that moment to re-petition. It's like, well, come on. What I did so bad? Look what they're doing now. Look, come on. I bet, come on. I really wanted to write a play about the whole thing back when he and the commissioner were going at it. And I think it was my good friend Berman said, you write a play, you got to get casting directors, you got to get actors, you got to get stage people, you got to probably cater. Why don't you just write the song, man? So I wrote a song about writing a play. Figured that was all right. Well, I was writing a play about Pete Rose and Bart Giamatti. It takes place in a Motel 6 just outside of Cincinnati. There's a table and a bottle of whiskey. They're drinking, but they light a cigarette first. Pete Rose looks terrible. Giamatti looks worse. Giamatti says, Pete, be straight with me. Have you been gambling on games? Pete says, Commissioner, where I come from, we bet on everything. Commissioner says, let's get to the point, though, Pete. Did you ever bet on your own team? I'm not sure what Pete's gonna reply, but I think I might have the telephone ring. It's gonna be Shoeless Joe Jackson calling from Tangiers. Says, Commissioner, if you don't throw him out, what have I been doing all these years? Bagging groceries and painting houses, having to beg and steal and rob. Pete tries to grab the receiver, says, I could tell you stuff about Ty Cobb. Well, then I hear a knocking at my door. It's my sweet baby, and she crawls in and slides across the floor. Says, put down your pen, boy, I can wait another day. I'll say what's wrong, she grabs my leg, says, all I got to say is, are you gambling with my love? Are you saying you don't care? Are you gambling with my love while you sit there in that chair? Are you gonna gamble? Are you gonna gamble? Gambling with my love. I said, baby, I got backers. Yeah, I got money people waiting for this stuff. I got a theater off Broadway, convinced one act ain't gonna be enough. I say I'm starting to roll with this dialogue. I'm getting Pete Rose's thoughts in my head. I say he can taste the Hall of Fame. She said, don't you want to taste me instead? I said, baby, if you understand how with 4,000 hits a man could still feel emptiness. And I had the commissioner say, Pete, what you got in your hand? He said, yeah, can't you guess? Pete says, well, if I was a betting man, I'd say you was trying to bluff me to my face. Commissioner said, too bad you ain't as good playing the odds as playing second base. Hey. So she says, let's get this straight. You got the two guys in a hotel room, no other special effects, no act, no 3 acts, no drama, no sex. I said, well, there is a Mrs. Rose, though. Yeah, she says, yeah, I suppose. She says, well, what's their chemistry? What's her specifics? Does she have a wig? Does she wear support hose? I said, baby, you're wearing me out. What do you say we turn down the bed? She looks at me. She shakes her head, she grabs my pen and says, are you gambling with my love? Are you saying you don't care? Are you gambling with my love? While you sit there in that chair, are you gonna gamble? Are you gonna gamble? Gambling with my love. So now it goes like this. Pete Rose and Bart Giamatti in a hotel room. Mrs. Rose bursts in, says, damn it, Pete, I carried your children in my womb. She says, Mr. Giamatti, you need this man as much as he needs you. Turns to Pete and says, are you gambling with my love? Are you saying you don't care? Are you gambling with my love? While you sit there in that chair. While you sit there in that chair. Are you gonna gamble? Are you gonna gamble? Sing it, gambling with my love. Gambling with my love. Gambling with my love. We're doing, hopefully, grand old songs of the grand old game. It's opening day. It's a little strange opening day, for sure, but we're still here and hunkered down in our bunkers. But we're also out in fields of grass, lawns, dirt, dugouts, press boxes, ticket lines, hot dog lines, peanut lines, beer lines, bathroom lines. This was written in 1910 by Franklin Pierce Adams. These are the saddest of possible words, tinker to Evers to chance. Trio of bear cubs and fleeter than birds, tinker to Evers to chance. Ruthlessly pricking our gonfalon bubble. A gonfalon is a pennant, you know, like a pennant. And the gonfalon bubble is the dream of winning the pennant. Ruthlessly pricking our gonfalon bubble, making a giant hit into a double. Words that are weighty with nothing but trouble. Tinker to Evers to Chance. That was one of the most famous poems ever written about baseball. It's written about the Chicago Cubs double play combination in the early part of the 20th century. No cotton candy? You want to get an It's It? Ice cream? Right around that time, there was a rookie in 1908 with the New York Giants who continues to be a haunting figure throughout American baseball history. What was his great sin? In the custom of the day, it was customary if you were on base and somebody scored the winning run ahead of you, you just peeled off, ran into the dugout. You were done. So he did that too. But that day, everything changed. Sometimes I think about it when I'm all alone. When I'm walking around home and it's late at night, and I don't feel right and I just can't sleep, and I can't keep the dark from pouring out. It was a gray afternoon at the Polo Grounds. Merkle should have touched second base. Tag game 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. Merkle should have touched second base. Cubs in the field and the Giants at the plate. Merkle should have touched second base. The Giants on third and Merkle on first. Merkle should have touched second base. Gotta go the whole way, make it a sure thing. Don't leave nothing to chance. Gotta go the whole way, make it a sure thing. Don't leave nothing to chance. Well, the Giant at the plate, it's a single up the middle. Merkle should have touched second base. The Giant on third brings a winning run home. Merkle should have touched second base. Merkle on first starts trotting up to second. Merkle should have touched second base. He pulls up short and he runs off the field. Merkle should have touched second base. Gotta go the whole way, make it a sure thing. Don't leave nothing to chance. Don't leave nothing to chance. Frank Chance was a peerless leader of the Cubs. Merkle should have touched second base. He calls for the ball and he steps on the bag. Merkle should have touched second base. Extra innings, the ump yells it right and he takes the run away. Merkle should have touched second base. Extra innings, Chicago wins. Merkle should have touched second base. Gotta go the whole way, make it a sure thing. Don't leave nothing to chance. Don't leave nothing to chance. Gotta go the whole way, make it a sure thing. Gotta go the whole way, make it a sure thing. Don't leave nothing to chance. Well, the pennant's tied between the Giants and the Cubs. Merkle should have touched second base. They play one game with the season on the line. Merkle should have touched second base. Chicago wins, Merkle doesn't even play. Merkle should have touched second base. Sent all the years to the end of his days. His Merkle should have touched second base. Hitler would have never invaded Poland. Merkle should have touched second base. My mama and my dad would have raised me as a wolf. Merkle should have took second base. Monica Lewinsky would have married Dan Quayle. Merkle should have took second base. Godot shows up in the second act. Merkle should have took second base. Sometimes I think about it when I'm all alone. Merkle should have took second base. When I'm walking around home and it's late at night, Merkle should have took second base. And I don't feel right and I just can't sleep. Merkle should have took second base. And I can't keep the dark from pouring out. Merkle should have took second base.
In the song, it says that that Frank Chance called for the ball, but really
it was Evers?
yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
There wasn't extra innings.
Why don't you go get some Cracker Jack or something?
Man,
these
they
baseball
did a
documentaries just
the next day they
shouldn't-
made a different game, and the Cubs did win.
Oh yeah? Okay, well thanks. Maybe you'll write that song. Anyway, thank you for that stirring backup singing. Hopefully you're all singing along too, humming something. This is Sherry Rosenbaum of Pleasant Hill, California, writes, I recall Satchel Paige warming up in foul territory at a Cubs game, with my mom explaining to me that he was the greatest player of all time, who had been prevented from playing in the majors because of racial segregation. This seemed like a ridiculous notion. Anyone could see that there were plenty of good ball players who weren't white. Of course, I was young then and didn't have historical perspective. Before old Henry Aaron, before old Willie Mays, a brown-skinned man hit homers over any wall they'd raise. Before Jackie Robinson, before Yasiel Puig, but he never made it out of the Negro Leagues. Ooh, Josh Gibson, they called you the Black Babe Ruth, but those who seen you play called Babe Ruth the White Josh Gibson. You never made the majors, but in the Hall of Fame you live on. Ooh, Josh Gibson. Ooh, Josh Gibson. Played for the Pittsburgh Crawfords, played with the Homestead Grays. In the Negro Leagues you had no peer, it was you and Satchel Paige. 12 weeks before Jackie Robinson, you were 35 years of age. They laid you down in Pittsburgh in an unmarked grave. Ooh, Josh Gibson, called you the Black Babe Ruth, but those who seen you play called Babe Ruth the White Josh Gibson. You never made the majors, but suited up in the Hall of Fame. Josh Gibson. Your plaque in the Hall of Fame boasts 800 home runs. They made you into a postage stamp, a 33-cent one. Jackie Robinson was the first, Josh Gibson maybe the best. They said was a broken heart exploded in your chest. Josh Gibson, call you the Black Babe Ruth, but those who seen you play call Babe Ruth the White Josh Gibson. Never made the majors, suited up in the Hall of Fame. Ooh, Josh Gibson. Yeah, ooh, Josh Gibson. we're glad you're here. Taking a little time for some ball. It's good to take a little time for some ball once in a while. I don't have a song about Louis Sockalexis, the guy they named the Cleveland Indians for. I bet someone does, though. Sometimes you might want to learn a list of things. Baseball is great for stats, you know. Numbers that define the game in some ways. 367. Ty Cobb's batting average. For years it was 60. Babe Ruth 60 in a season. And then Maris broke that, and then a bunch of guys shattered it later. Yeah, you know, there was some questionable stuff there for a few years. And then 714 was the great number. Babe Ruth's homers, and then Aaron's 755, and then Bonds came along a few years later and just kind of snuck past it. I think Ty Cobb had 96 steals in a season for years and years and years. That was the record. And then Maury Wills got it and went over 100, 104. And then I think Vince Coleman may have had it for a while. And then, of course, Ricky Henderson has all the stolen base records. Sometimes you might want to memorize a list of numbers. Songs are a good way to do that. I've always maintained that if you want to memorize anything, especially a list, I know people teach classes in mnemonics or whatever the heck, but just make a song. You want to help out on this one? Come on, you can do this. This is a year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. This is a year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. In 1986, he hit 16 home runs, and then 25, 24, 1933. 25, 34, 46, 37, 33, 42, 40, 37, 34, and 49. 73, 46, 45, 45, 5, 26, 28. This is a year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. This is the year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. He won the MVP in 1990, 1992, and 93, and 01, and 02, and 03, and 04. This is the year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. This is the year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. Last chance. You want to get paid? Come on. Come on. Okay, folks. You know what to do. You've heard this now. In 1986, he hit 16 home runs, then 25, 24, 1933. 25, 34, 46, 37, 33, 42, 40, 37, 34, and 49. 73, 46, 45, 45, 5, 26, 28. This is a year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. This is the year-by-year home run totals of the Great Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds. Thank you. I could use Maybe some more hot water in here. Can we do that? Maybe some Cracker Jacks and peanuts too? Maybe a bread... Can we get a sourdough bread bowl? Do they do sourdough bread bowls this high in the stands?
Nope.
In the third?
Nope.
Oh, it's only downstairs?
It's, sorry, it is 3,000 million feet below.
First it was Pluto. Do you have your own disease? I don't have my own disease. You gotta be something to have your own disease. First it was Pluto, the furthest, coldest planet. They said it's not a planet after all. Then suddenly $1, even worse, the dollar. Banks too big to fail began to fall. All of this and more I could accept, that's how it goes. But now I'm down here begging on my knees. 'Cause now they're trying to tell us Lou Gehrig didn't die of Lou Gehrig's disease. You all remember Lou, the Yankee slugger who, along with Babe Ruth, made the Bronx Bombers go. Ruthie batted third, Gehrig batted fourth, a little thing called Murderer's Row. Change history, make it new. Lindbergh sailed the ocean blue. But don't tear down my idols, please. Don't say Lou Gehrig didn't die of Lou Gehrig's disease. Never be another Gehrig, never be another Ruth. All the modern players got there on the juice. Ripken broke the Iron Horse's streak. But Ripken never had his own disease. Whose disease was it? Whose disease was it? Whose disease was it? Next they'll be saying Grant isn't buried in Grant's tomb. Nope, guy named Pettitte. The White House in white, Red Square in red. The Alamo, just forget it. Mondale, he beat Reagan. Nixon, he beat Kennedy. And Lassie, well, Lassie had fleas. If Lou Gehrig didn't die of Lou Gehrig's disease, Lou Gehrig's disease. Well, we kid about that, but of course ALS is a very serious thing. Our good friend Billy McCarthy does a lot of work for Yasiel, ALS Foundation. That's right, the Iron Man. 13 seasons, 2,130 straight games. That held for a long time till Ripken broke it. But, as you say, he hit almost 500 home runs, 491, I think. And imagine how many more seasons he could have had. Game is full of triumph, tragedy, some disappointments, not exactly tragedies. Some of those make for the best stories. I grew up reading the stories of baseball as much as seeing the games. And sometimes it was those, you know, like the Merkle thing that really catch in your throat. A few years ago, there was a whole slew of perfect games, which is really rare. There's only been, I think, 20 now in 100 some years of of the game. And then there was one that seemed to be a perfect game, but turned out to not be, only because the umpire messed up. And I thought, well, that, even more than the actual perfect games, is worthy of a song. This is called Joyce and Gallaraga. Joyce was the umpire, Gallaraga was the pitcher. I invite you to yell out, "No!" just like that, wherever you are, when it's the right moment. Oh, you want to practice it? Let's try it. No! Try it again. No! Good. Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, perfect game. No! Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, perfect game. No! 26 men up, 26 men down, Gallaraga with the game of his career. The umpire messed, he said 27th, yes! But Joyce, he blew the call. Now go and drown your sorrows for a year, for 10 years. Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, perfect game. No! Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, perfect game. No! The umpire saw the tape, saw what he had done. He broke down and he cried, said, "I'm to blame." The pitcher said, "Forget it," and gave the ump a hug. It's just my one and only perfect game. Just my one and only perfect game. If you have a saxophone handy, grab it, play it. Otherwise, maybe you've got, I don't know, your mouth. No! This should have been his story. This should have been a perfect game. Now it's only the very best argument for instant replay. Instant replay. Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, perfect game. No! Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, Joyce and Gallaraga, perfect game. No! Good. I heard some of you there. I got one of these new Apple 24 phones. I can hear you, I can see you, and some smells come through. They're still working on those. I usually turn off that sensor, because I don't need that. Who needs that? You know. Where do we go? Oh, we got this. This is called Summers in the Bronx. It's all about, well, you guessed it, Summers in the Bronx. Ira Berkow, one of the great sports writers of the American scene, mostly New York. This is about when they were making those Seinfelds with Steinbrenner in them. And they're talking to Larry David, and he says, "I grew up in Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn, and I've always loved the Yankees," said David as he moved among the actors and camera crew on the set of the show recently, talking about Seinfeld. "It was a kid's fantasy that if you couldn't play center field for the Yankees, and I was always a huge Mickey Mantle fan, well, maybe you could work for them in some capacity. When George Costanza, who was based on David and played by Jason Alexander, needed a job after being unemployed for 2 years, Larry David hit upon the Yankees. It's a chaotic place, and I thought George would fit in perfectly," he said. So the comic possibilities were inherent there. But for David, so is the pain. "Being a Yankees fan with Steinbrenner as the owner is so frustrating," he said. I was the kind of fan who even followed the minor leaguers in the system. I knew all the players coming up, but when Steinbrenner became the owner, they usually didn't come up. He traded them. Nobody would make it to the team. And then, when he'd have good players like Riho and Drabeck and Buckner, he'd trade them. And the free agents he'd get, the Dave LaPointe types, were usually disasters. You just knew you could run the team better than he did. Ah, yes. Yankee Stadium. My good friend, Judy Tint, a few years back, after Andy Pettitte had retired, she said, "Can't you write a song for Pettitte? You gotta get him back." So I said, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." So I wrote this song, and, well, it worked. Sometimes they work, you know, that's why you gotta do it. The whether it's a protest song or a trying to get something to happen, sometimes it works. So this worked. I wrote this song and then he came back. So this is probably one of the prouder things I've ever accomplished. We're gonna miss him, we're gonna miss him. Joe Girardi said it. Come back, Andy, come back, Andy, come back, Andy Pettitte. Sabathia, Nova, Hughes, Burnett, and Garcia ain't gonna get it. Come back, Andy, come back, Andy, come back, Andy Pettitte. Is the staff as good as Lester, Lackey, Buckles, Beckett, Matsuzaka? I doubt it. Can the bullpen hold the league? Get the game to Mariano? Forget about it. February 4th was a dark day when in the Daily News I read it. Come back, Andy, come back, Andy, come back, Andy Pettitte. Come back, Andy, come back, Andy, come back, Andy Pettitte. We've not talked much about the Cubs. In the recent haze of 2016, it's almost easy to forget about 108 years of frustration, disappointment, anguish. Zambrano was your horse, Zambrano was your train, Zambrano who you brought in to get the job done. But Piniella yanked Zambrano tied at 1 after 8, and the next guy got lit up and you lost game 1. Piniella later said, gonna need him Sunday, gonna need Zambrano. This was only game 1, but that one got away, and the couple after that, and sometimes Sunday never, sometimes Sunday never comes, sometimes Sunday never comes, sometimes life is a 5-game series and Sunday never comes. The Cubs is done for another long winter. Zambrano can pack his elbow in ice. Piniella yanked Zambrano. Zambrano is done. And sometimes Sunday never try this. Sometimes Sunday never comes. Sometimes Sunday never comes. Sometimes life is a 5-game series and Sunday never comes. Sometimes life is a 5-game series and Sunday never comes. take a quick moment to let you know the Hunkered in the Bunker schedule for the rest of the weekend here. Tomorrow at 5 Pacific, just a regular old Hunkered in the Bunker. We're going to keep digging through songs that haven't been played in years. And songs that you like, too. That's 5 Pacific tomorrow. Noon on Saturday Pacific. 3 Eastern, that's another kids show. And then on a little bit later in the day, 5 Pacific, we're doing a whole show suggested by our friend Rebecca Rosenbaum. We're going to do, for Everett Roos's birthday, we're going to do all the wilderness songs. And I actually made a show out of it a few years ago with some narratives, so we're going to do that whole thing. So check that out if you like Everett Roos, even if you don't know who he is. That's Saturday, 5 Pacific, and then Sunday, I guess at noon, Hunkered in the Bunker, and that's a special time also for the Londoners and the Rotterdammers and all those folks. Here is the story of the Oakland days. Here's the legacy of Charlie Finley and his slaves. They came from Philadelphia and Kansas City to California gold, Kelly green, wedding gown white, and Vida blue. The A's, the Oakland A's. Ain't no finer ways to waste your days. In the early 70s, the A's, they ruled the land. Reggie, Rudy, Catfish, Dick Williams, and Sab Bando. Then a few years later, Billy Ball came around. It lasted till they ran Billy out of town. Now in the new millennium, Billy Moneyball rules the roost. Moneyball, being smart with numbers, gives poor teams a boost. Tejada and his buddies gave Jeter a highlight reel. They come this close and just fall short, that seems to be their deal. The A's, the Oakland A's. Ain't no finer ways to waste your days. Well, they still play in that stadium where no one else would play. Hot dogs, peanuts, Cracker Jacks, then call it a day. Some call that ballpark a freaking mausoleum, but that's no graveyard, mister, that's the Oakland Coliseum. This then is the story of the Oakland A's. Gene Tennis, Ricky Henderson could have his own verse, really. Charlie Finley and his slaves, they come from Philadelphia and Kansas City too. California gold, Kelly green, wedding gown white, and Vida blue. The A's, the Oakland A's. Ain't no finer ways to waste your days. Well, a few summers ago, I was in San Francisco for a couple months at a time, playing at a place my buddy David's place called 12 Galaxies. It was called. Then he had the Crate Place. Down in Santa Cruz after that, but those summers in San Francisco were pretty great. I didn't really have anything to do that I had to do except play 12 Galaxies on the weekends. And in exchange, I had a place to stay in the Mission there. And I brought my bike, and they threw me like Giants tickets. I had all these Giants tickets. So every day I would just cruise down Valencia, one of those streets, and go see the Giants. And Giants Ballpark, it's beautiful, you know. It's built right on the bay. It might be the nicest park to sit in big leagues now. And the higher you go, the better the view, because you're looking at the bay, you know, and McCovey Cove. And they're really set up like you take your bike to Dodger Stadium, you know, you might try to find a railing to like maybe put your bike, you know, lock it up to. And San Francisco, the ballpark, you know, you bring your bike and there's just a whole booth for it. They take your bike, you know, they oil your chain while you're there, you know, true up your tires. Pretty sweet. But as luck would have it, a couple of those summers, the guy I most wanted to see, Barry Bonds, was hurt. So I imagined trying to follow him and track him down. Maybe we'll move. From my second story window, I look down on Rincon, up the coast of California, where I've come looking for the great Barry Bonds one final summer. His health is broken down, so I've forsaken San Francisco, and I've heard the Bonds might be here seeking non-traditional medicine. But I see nothing but the craps games from my second story window in Rincon, where I come looking for Bonds. And from my second story window, I see the mayor in her chambers signing execution papers for the prisoners of conscience, and the women throw bananas in the street, and moments later they're gray and flat and lifeless beyond all recognition. Oh, some say the most powerful force on earth is water, but from my second story window it seems to be the cars, and Christopher Columbus comes looking for the Spice Isles, and Montezuma comes looking for the gold, and Charlie Chaplin comes looking for the silver screen. I've come looking for Bonds. Bonds comes looking for the cure. And the fishermen go out to return again at dusk, and they love the constant rain. Oh, the fish jump in their nets. Yeah, but I am not a fisherman, and to me the rain can only keep Bonds inside his window. If he's even in Rincon, of which I'm more and more uncertain, especially with this rain and the news reports each hour. He's being tested in Los Angeles, and I found my friends just when I doubted myself most. They took me for a walk along the cinnamon, and they said this rain can't last forever. People will walk around, not just the fishermen. And from a second story window, the fog enfolds the fishermen, black ghosts along the harbor as their boats go out to sea. And my eyes alert but softly as I stand inside my window. I will not miss the moment if Bonds should pass below. And Christopher Columbus looking for the Spice Isles, and Zuma come looking for the gold, and Charlie Chaplin comes looking for the spice eyes. I come looking for Bonds. Bonds comes looking for the cure, the magic cure. Well, we're gonna get a little, we're gonna move up to the modern game now. Hey, weren't you gonna bring me some hot tea? I see the cup over there. Hey, come on now. The lines are too long downstairs. If you're gonna like get a job in the concessions, you know. I don't know, this guy's just slow. I don't know, he's been talking to the... Oh, thank you. Let's sing some tunes. Let's do some tunes. Here's one you can do. We're gonna get to the bit of the modern game, the way the modern game is played now. A lot of the pitchers get surgically repaired now. They speculate that if they had the modern medicine, Koufax probably wouldn't have retired when he was 30. Get your kids Tommy John surgery today. Now that she's in preschool, now that she's pre-K, by first grade she'll be ready to play. Get your kids Tommy John surgery today. Get your kids Tommy John surgery. In T-ball she'll be all she can be. Tiny little tendons are pliable now. Get your kids Tommy John surgery, wow. Jumpstart the process, do it for your kid. You will not be sorry you did. Get your kids Tommy John surgery today. Let's do, yeah, oh, well, everybody's been asking about, well, are you going to do an Astros song? You going to do an Astros song? What about that? How about that, huh? I used to take my kids out to the park, teach them how to catch and hit and throw. But now we spend our time learning how to steal signs. That's how the modern game goes. If I bang a garbage can,
It's a fastball.
Flap my arms like a chicken.
It's a curve.
If I moo like a cow,
It's a four-seam slider.
gonna give my kids the training they deserve. Yeah, we used to get out to the stadium early, get an autograph from Kershaw or Mad Bum. But now we're hoping to get a glove signed by the guy in center field with a drum. If I bang a garbage can,
It's a fastball.
flap my arms like a chicken.
It's a curve.
If I roar like a cow,
It's a four-seam slider.
gonna give my kids the training they deserve. Gonna give my kids the training they deserve. So when you were, I think, was it your 5th birthday, 6th birthday, that you got to go out in the field at Dodger Stadium? Do you remember which birthday? 6th birthday. And who, you got to go out to one of the players, who was it?
A.J. Ellis.
A.J. Ellis, he was the...
Catcher.
Yeah, and what happened?
I got a ball signed by him.
Did you tell him it was your birthday? Do you remember his number?
13?
17?
Yeah.
Do you remember who was in right field?
Puig.
Puig. Do we like Puig?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like Puig. She painted a picture of, you painted a picture of Puig, sent it to him. Our good friend Bern took it to the Dodgers ping pong tournament, took a picture of Puig holding your picture, and then we got that blown up, the picture of him holding your picture, and we went to a game and got it signed by Puig. So we have a picture of Puig holding your picture of him that's signed by him.
And a picture of me holding that picture.
We have that too. You should sign that and send that to him. Or not.
I'll do the second.
He played his ball in Cuba.
He's played a ball in Cuba, but dreamed of a major.
No, but that's not how it starts. He played in Cuba, but how does this start?
He played in Cuba in San Fuego's town.
He played. Let's do it a little higher though. This is called The Legend of Yasiel Puig. And it is a legend. It took him, well, you'll hear it in the song, but it's in the song. It took him about 5 attempts to escape his native Cuba. Actually, in real life, I think it was about 30. And this was before he was 20 years old. Incredible story. I'm sure it'll be a movie at some point. But right now, it's a song. He came from Cuba, from Cienfuegos town. His dad worked in the sugar cane field, but the boy would find his way on a different kind of field. Here's the legend of Yasiel Puig. Say sentai say,
Say sentai say.
that's 66 of course. They call him the wild horse.
Cabal salvaje.
Say sentai say,
Say sentai say.
fire it from right field to third base. Wild horse Yasiel Puig. 66 Yasiel Puig. Well, he played his ball in Cuba, but he dreamed of the major league. Things were not so easy leaving Cuba. First time the police stopped his car. Second time the boat never got that far. Third time the police threw him in jail.
Whoa, horse, whoa.
Fourth time the Coast Guard said no, no, just when he thought they'd let him go. Fifth time he escaped to Mexico. And now you see him starring every single night. He hits home runs, he dives for balls, he's in the major leagues. Just a kid from San Fuegos, he's number 66. The wild horse Yasiel Puig. Say sentai say,
Say sentai say.
that's 66 of course. They call him the wild horse.
Cabal salvaje.
Say sentai say,
Say sentai say.
fire it from right field to third base. The wild horse Yasiel Puig. One more time. Say sentai say, sentai. That's 66 of course. They call him the wild horse. El Cabal Do we know yet where Puig's going to end up this year?
No.
No, we don't know. Who'd he play for last year?
Dodgers.
No, last year who'd he play for?
He played for the Reds and the Indians.
Reds and the Indians, yeah. Do you know who nicknamed him the Wild Horse?
Vin.
Vin, yeah.
I'm going to get something to eat.
All right. Oh, I was going to read this about, with regard to stealing signs. This is from Jane Leavy's great book about Sandy Koufax. She also wrote a great one, I think called The Mick, about Mickey Mantle. No, not Mick Jagger. They're talking about Sandy Koufax now in the probably 1965 when he threw his perfect game. Everybody knew what to look for. Gene Mauch, the Phillies manager, would stand on the dugout steps and whistle every time Koufax threw a curve. Not so much because he thought it would help his hitter, he knew it wouldn't, but in hopes of distracting him. One time Koufax stepped off the mound and growled, "Grab a bat." Lots of people could call Koufax's pitches in the stretch. Banks, Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub, Let's Play 2, that guy. Banks watched the position of his elbows. Willie Mays watched his thumb on his glove. Some players wouldn't share such information, even with teammates, in fear of retribution. Joey Malfitano was not that way. When he opens his glove like an umbrella, he's throwing the curve, he told his teammates. When he holds it tight, he's throwing a fastball. But it didn't really do any good. When I first moved to Chicago, right out of college, I had the great fortune in my little rooming house to be right next to the palatial house of Bill Buckner. That guy. There's a little tale from that. This is from a book of poems called Encounters. My first summer in Chicago, I was living in a small room in an apartment house on the north side. My apartment building was right next door to a fancy house with a gate in front of it and a little circled driveway inside the gate. In that house lived the great Bill Buckner. Long before Bill Buckner was known for letting a ball go through his legs in the 1986 World Series, he was known in Chicago as a great hitter. He played 7 lucky seasons with the Dodgers and another 7 lucky seasons with the Cubs before fate frowned on him when he went over to Boston. Bill Buckner was the 1980 National League batting champion. Okay, he wasn't Bill Madlock with his 4 batting titles, but still, the 1980 National League batting champion. I used to go on the roof of my building after games and watch Bill Buckner drive in, walk into his house. One time I yelled down, "Hey, Billy Buck, nice game, 4 for 5. He didn't look up, but I heard him mutter, "Thank you," before hurrying inside his house. Maybe he was irritated that after driving through his private gate, he was still not immune from the reach of a fan. But for me, it was a thrill to have had this little interaction with the great Bill Buckner. Sometimes I think about causality and the interconnectedness of things, and I can't help but wonder, if I hadn't said anything to Bill Buckner that day in 1981, or if I hadn't held him up for those 3 seconds or whatever it was, might not everything at that point forward in his life been different? Without that slight alteration in space and time, might Bill Buckner have fielded that routine ground ball in 1986, tagged first base, joined his Red Sox mates in celebration? Yeah, it's possible. But I'm not going so far as to say it's my fault. If you start thinking like that, you'll never get out of bed. It was nice for Bill Buckner to acknowledge me that day, to take a brief moment to say, "Thank you." So, I'll say this. Thank you, Bill Buckner. You made my day once, long ago. Aside from that, you should have taken more ground balls in practice. You got some food? Oh, no way. You gonna break them out? Gonna bust them out? What do you got there?
Dodgers peanuts.
Real thing. You gonna bust them out?
Yep.
Let's bust them out.
And our friend Susan Wiggins sent them.
Oh, Susan Wiggins. Thank you, Susan Wiggins.
Shells.
All right, shells. I'm gonna try to flick one of these peanuts in my mouth.
Might as well.
Might as well. Here we go. Take a little. Bam. One. So you see how many in a row?
Sure.
2. 3. Wonder if I can break DiMaggio's record. 56 in a row. 3. 4. Can you shell them and hand them to me? No. Oh, yeah. Oh, that one? Okay, here we go. We're at 4. Oh!
Oh, no.
All right. Well.
What was your record?
Well, it's 4 now. We gotta beat 4. We were making a record a few years back. I was doing it with these guys, Common Rotation and Johnny Flower. It was Adam Bush, Jordan Katz, Eric Cuffs. Eric Cuffs brought this one in. Some people like it the best. It's pretty great. Maybe I wrote the bridge. I think he did the rest, and he sings it real good. Adam Bush sings it real good, too. Used to mime the dark, throwing K's upon the hill. For coach put me at first base. Yeah, I tried my best, but still, I just couldn't hit the curveball. I was second string at best. It would take a holy miracle to get called off the bench. I left New York for California, fell for the first girl that I met. She brought me a new season, one I hadn't seen as yet. I still followed all the box scores, down to every single game. I forget those players, yeah, but I can't forget her name. 'Cause every game don't go your way. I get down on my knees and pray that it won't be in the series underneath October drums. When my Buckner moment comes, when my Buckner moment cameras not be rolling, may the grandstand not be filled. Do I want a hot dog or Dodgers peanuts? I want both. And the bar light's soft and hazy, sweeps me off my feet. It's nice to know a language I don't ever have to speak. My bases are loaded, my count is 3 and 2. I look for some idea where to go and what to do. Every game don't roll your way. I get down on my knees. we're going to take about 1 minute, just a little 1 minute, 7th inning stretch. I hope the bathroom line isn't too long. I might grab another dog on the way back. So hang in here. Be right back.
Should I do something?
Sure, you got something?
No.
You want to talk about your team? Why don't you tell them about your team?
Hello. This little bit right now is called the Lulu Show. Sponsored by Dodgers Peanuts. They're just good. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about my team. So I am on a softball team, and our team is called the Blue Wave. I was sick when we all were going to decide what our team name was. I had the fever, which was sad. So my idea for the team was Blue Thunder. But I wasn't there, and I asked my mom to send my coach what the name that I was going to suggest, but my mom forgot. So it's the Blue Wave. Yeah.
Okay, and what's your position for the Blue Wave?
I play catcher.
Okay, so you guys aren't playing right now, but hopefully at some point you get back out there, yeah?
Yeah.
In the meantime, we've been going out once in a while to a empty park, no one's around. Keep that arm loose. This little snippet from a book called Teammates by David Halberstam about some Red Sox. Late in his life, Ted Williams would on occasion compare himself with Dom DiMaggio, Joe's brother. It was Joe and Vince and Dom, the three DiMaggio brothers. They were all in the major leagues. In Boston, they would chant, "Better than his brother Joe, Dominic DiMaggio." He wasn't, but they loved him. Anyway, Ted Williams loved Dom DiMaggio, and he would also often compare himself with Dom and find himself wanting. It was the rare comparison in which Ted Williams ever came up short in his own estimation. He would tell Dommy that he had made something of a mess of his life, and that Dominic was the more successful one. On one such occasion, Dominic would tell him angrily, "Stop this, Teddy! Stop this now! I never want to hear you talk like this again. You're Ted Williams. You're an American hero. You served your country in 2 wars. You're one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Millions of Americans look up to you. You cannot talk this way about yourself. There's not a CEO in this country who's done as much as you to make this a better country. I won't stand for it." That would end it. Yet in those brief moments of self-doubt, there was the rare insight into the way Ted Williams sometimes thought about himself. But moments like that made for an unusually strong friendship because of each man's immense respect for one another. Which brings us to the Red Sox. And don't worry if you're kids are here, if there's kids watching, listening with your folks, that's fine. We'll bleep anything that needs to be bleeped. There was Aaron ing Boone and Bucky ing Dent. Since then the Sox have pretty much been heaven ing sent. Departing too soon for the party was no Mark Garcia Para. This year the savior was Koji Uehara. Among the best that they could muster, Verlander, Scheitzer, Wainwright, Walker. We even played the graybeard Ross, oh, the Saltalamacca. To St. Louis, where Big Papi grabbed his glove and played first happily. We survived and even thrived without the services of Napoli. Before 2004, we'd always dread the fall semester. But suddenly the world revolves round Blackie and Lester. Pop the champagne, spill the beer, raise a glass of Portofino to Gomes, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Shane Victorino. Whatever happened to the Coyse? It died and they threw it in a hearse. Fenway pressure used to bring it out the worst. We drowned our sorrows with a quenchless thirst. How can a curse just simply walk? Or was it Manny, was it Schilling's bloody sock? Beer and chicken couldn't make it show its face. It's been gone since Robert Steele of second base. Whatever happened to the case when suddenly you go from worst to first? The baseball gods are shining on Peavy and Pedroia. Yastrzemski, Rice, and Clemens ought to get themselves a lawyer. Boston ladies, check for gold in your purse. Whatever happened to the case? We've been through pain, suffering, sorrow, tragedy, but now we're at the moment of a little bit of triumph. Six inches either way, they say. McCovey's shot gets through, and the Giants win it all in 62. In 89, the ground it should. Cars and homes were tossed, and oh, by the way, the games were lost. 2002, the roof fell in, just waiting on the brink. We cried until we filled the kitchen sink with tears. 2010, we reached the promised land, the golden road, and the sun shines on McCovey Cove. The sun shines on McCovey Cove. Pitch to Barry, fear the beard, let Timmy smoke. Humbay Pacific Stock Exchange, hit that bottle of Coke for the dreams that westward drove. For F.P. Santangelo, the sun shines on McCovey Cove. Willie Spire, Barry, Bobby, Russell, Marischal, Dick Deeds, Montefusco, Alvin Dark, Cepeda, sliding cleats up Fillmore to the Golden Gate, down Market Street they rode. sun shines on McCovey Cove. The sun shines on McCovey Cove. We welcome you if you're just dropping in. We've been here for just over about 2 hours now. It's about 2 hours. Yeah, we're at about the 2-hour mark now. In the old-time games, that would be it. They'd sometimes wrap up a game in an hour and a half. Gosh, it wasn't unusual, even in my early Brooklyn days, to wrap things up in an hour 10. A couple of brisk performances by the starting pitchers, and of course there were no relievers in those days. You start what you finish, but now a 2-hour mark, well, that's a brisk pace if you can get that in, but this isn't the modern game, this is 2020, so we're gonna go just a little while longer. Torrey, Alva, Perry, Spire, Kuiper, Jim Ray Hart, Kruko, Woody, Clark and Williams, Mitchell, late nights on the bar, Roger Craig and Charlie Fox, Herman Franks, Bruce Brochy, as the sun shines on the Covey Cove. Torres, Sanchez, Posey, Ross, Ruffbrew, and Sandoval, Roland, Renteria, Bumgarner, Kane, and all. Uribe, Wilson, Lindsay come to history. They drove as the sun shines on the Covey Cove. The sun shines on the Covey Cove. I got to go to that World Series in 2010. By that time, I'd already kind of defected over to the Dodgers. For years and years, I lived in LA. And I kept my Giant fandom that I'd acquired as a youngster. As a young boy out in Iowa. I read the book about Willie Mays about a week before I read the book about Koufax. If I had reversed him, I might have started as a Dodger fan, but I started watching the Giants. So they were my team. Sure, when I was in the shadow of Wrigley for a few years, I kind of... You had to be a Cub fan then. But then, even when I was in LA, I was a Giants fan. And I finally decided, well, Lulu came along, and we started watching Puig and everything. We'd listen to Vin every night. Could walk to the ballpark, walk to it in about 10 minutes. On my bike, it was 2 minutes. I could be in my seat with a margarita in about 4 minutes. But then I gave up. I finally gave up. I finally said, okay, I'm a Dodger fan. Right in 2010, just in time for the Giants to get good. That's my baseball karma. And I did go to Game 1 of the 2010 World Series, but I went in a black hat. Just a black hat, no insignia. I lost some friends when I made those moves. Yes, it's a strange opening day, I guess, sure. There's been other strange opening days. One time on opening day, Bobby Feller was pitching. Maybe it was Mother's Day. It's a better story if it's Mother's Day, but it might have been opening day. He was pitching and his mom came to the game. It's the first time she ever saw him pitch, and he threw one of his great pitches and somebody fouled it off and it hit a fan in the stands. His mom! She was knocked out. She was all right though. I got thrown out of an opening day once. I just wanted to see Kirk Gibson. It was even when he was with Detroit. I just wanted to see Gibson, and I didn't move quick enough, so they threw me out. Once once on opening day, Babe Ruth, to celebrate his engagement to his wife, or maybe their wedding, he had a home run. It became this famous thing, his wedding present. Here's my wedding present. I didn't get you nothing, but I had a home run. Well, there's all kinds of rivalries, and we'll hear about a good one in a second. But the cool thing about these rivalries is every team a few years ago retired the number 42, which is Jackie Robinson's number. Even though he was a Dodger, the whole time he was in the big leagues, he was a Dodger. They actually tried to trade him to the Giants when he was kind of washed up. And then, this is the way ball players were in those days. He said, Giants? I think I'm done. So he retired rather than play another year or two with the Giants. A lot of times presidents throw out the first pitch on opening day. You threw out the first pitch today, though, right? Remember that? It was a long time ago. How did it feel to throw out a first pitch? Pretty good, yeah, I would think so. It's an honor. I hope you know it's an honor. Anybody out there, ever throw out a first pitch? Anybody get to do that? Sometimes, if you're like with a company or something, they'll have you in, your company will sponsor a night and they'll get like the VP of marketing. He'll go out there and he's got his shirt sleeves on, he rubs up the ball, they put him on the Jumbotron, and he bounces one in. I hope I get to do it someday. I hope they do it soon enough that my arm is still, the bullet train that it is. I figure right now I could probably throw about mid-90s, maybe snap off a curve at about 87, maybe and then another change-up that's about 77 with a sharp late break. John Forrest, the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, you're my hero, man. Not yet is the answer, Rudy. Not yet. Toronto farm team, wow. How'd it feel? How'd you do, I guess I should say. How'd you do? Did you get it to the catcher without the bounce? Well, while we're waiting for that, here's a song for the one guy that everyone can agree on is happily part of their team. He came from Georgia. What? You ready? Is that how it starts?
No.
Oh, that's the Puig song. He came from Cuba. How's this one start?
Okay. How does one of the verses
let's sing the chorus. 42, 42, 42, the number on his back was 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, the number on his back was 42, the number on his back was 42. Robinson pulled that jersey on. His eye was clear and his voice rang true, and the number on his back was 42. Born in Georgia, played in the major Negro Leagues. Born in Georgia, played in the Negro Leagues. Switched to Army green for the big war overseas. Then the big leagues come a-calling, said Mr. Robinson pulled this on, and the number on his bat was 42. When Jackie Robinson pulled that jersey off, when Jackie Robinson pulled that jersey off, his eye was clear and his voice rang true, and the number on his back was 42. Born in Georgia, played in the Negro Leagues. Switched to Army green in the big war overseas. Then the big leagues come a-calling, said Mr. Robinson pulled this on, and the number on his back was 42. Let's all sing. 42, 42, 42, 42. The number on his back was 42. 42, 42, 42. He wore Dodger blue in every color of the rainbow too. 42, 42, 42. The number on his back was 42. 42, 42. The number on his back was 42. The number on his back was 42. The number on his back was 42. Wow. Thanks for saving that one. I could not get the Puig song out of there. You found it. Yeah, I'll show you some pictures. I did a show of songs at the Bazaar Cafe in San Francisco last spring of all, well, they put these paintings up on their wall for a couple, 3 months, and then I did a show of just songs about the Dodgers-Giants rivalry. That was a whole show. It's called Rivalry. So I'll just show you those pictures real quick. This is the panda. This is Stretch McCovey. McCovey Cove, named after him. He played with Willie Mays. He was the cleanup hitter. Mays hit third, McCovey hit fourth. Number 44. Here's Tim Lincecum. Let Timmy smoke, they said in San Francisco. This was long before it was legal. They just said, let Timmy smoke. Here's 42. We just heard about him. That was a fun show at the Bazaar Cafe. All songs and paintings about I think the greatest rivalry in sports. Because it moved. I mean, there's Red Sox, Yankees, there's Packers, Bears, there's Celtics, Lakers, Cardinals, Cubs, Celtics, whatever that one is. That's Bochy. There's Mays.
Willie Howard Mays, number 24, the Mr. Mays.
660 homers. Here's Kenley. Kenley Jansen. He's been the stopper for the Dodgers the last few years. Probably no reliever in the game over that time that you'd want other than this guy. Here's Fernando. burst on the scene. He was 8-0 as a rookie with like 5 shutouts his first 8 starts. They'd never seen anything like him. Threw the screwball. It went the opposite way from a curveball. Went the opposite way. Like, instead of it... I'll reverse it. I think I'm reversed. So he was a lefty, so now I should look like a lefty. So instead of like the curveball going that way, he threw it and it went that way. Crazy. Can you imagine being a lefty and trying to hit a guy and it's coming right at you? That was Fernando. Carl Hubble did that. Same thing. In the early 30s for the Giants. Carl Hubble used to have flappy arm sleeves. This is Marichal with the high kick. Carl Hubble used to have sleeves that flapped around in the breeze. And it made... They couldn't, this is Cepeda. The hitters couldn't see it, so they said, you can't wear those flappy sleeves. There's Puig, the wild horse.
Can I have that picture?
Tongue out. Can you have that picture? We could talk about that. Here's Branch Rickey, the guy who brought in Jackie Robinson. His great quote, luck is the residue of design. I realize you can't see it, so I'll tell you. Luck is the residue of design. Means do everything you can and then good things will happen that you didn't even intend. Sandy Koufax. Here he looks like a righty, but he was a lefty. There's John McGraw. He was with the early Giants when they were in New York. The Little Napoleon, they called him. He was not a nice guy. Here's Vin. The early Vin. Well, it's great to be behind the microphone. Red Barber taught me everything I know, but I'm going to be even better than him eventually. I'm going to work 61 years behind the mic. Maybe it's 67. 67 years behind the microphone, spanning an entire continent. Here's Kershaw. Oh, how great is he? Clayton Kershaw. The San Francisco fans call him a witch. He's a witch! He might be. The shot heard round the world. The Giants win the pennant! The Giants win the pennant! The Giants win the pennant! Bobby Thompson, 1951. That whole novel Don DeLillo wrote, Underworld, the whole first bit is that game. It's like you're there. Incredible. Hunter Pence, he was with the Rangers last year. Man, what a weird dude he is, but so great. He does nothing like you would teach anybody. It's like McEnroe. You wouldn't tell somebody to play that way. Same with Pence. You wouldn't say, watch that guy do everything he does, the way he does. You would never say that, but you would want him on your team. Hunter Pence. Oh, there's Merkle. Doesn't he look troubled? Look at him. Look at him. He's a ghost, haunted. Fred Merkle. Yeah, Marichal. That whole thing. That's coming up in this next song. We're going to hear the Rivalry song. This is all a prelude. Here's Campy Campaneris, the great catcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Third guy up from the Negro Leagues with Newcomb and Jackie. Oh boy. Oh boy. You guys are in for a treat. In for a treat. You want to show that?
Here.
Go on.
Is
Jump in.
a picture
There it is.
of Puig holding the picture that I painted
Get close so there's no
of
glare.
him.
Oh,
And there's a wait.
it's a little glary. That's better.
And he signed it
Where's his signature?
right here.
Let's see it. Go close. There it is. Puig signing a picture of him holding a picture that you made of him. cool. Here's Kirk Gibson. Look at that guy. Good friend of mine, Wendy Branchaft, Chuck Plotkin's wife, the great producer. She has been to one Major League Baseball game in her life, and it was the Gibson game in 1988, Game 1 of the series, when he hobbled up to the plate on one leg. Eckersley threw a pitch, and on one leg, Gibson knocked it out of the park for a 2-run homer to beat the A's with Canseco and McGuire. Oh, and don't we all love this guy, Tim Flannery. Longtime player, nemesis of those Cubs in 1984 when he was with the Padres. Third base coach and musician, songwriter. Great man. Poltz and him are real tight too. That's Tim Flannery. Here's this irascible guy, Tommy Lasorda. Tom, if I could have just a couple of words with you. You have a nice post-game meal, I see. You've got some movie star friends coming by. Tommy Lasorda, you have it made. Just a couple more here. They packed him up all nice after the show at the Bazaar Cafe.
Daddy,
yeah.
You said a couple more, and there's 3 more.
That's Buster Posey. I said a couple more, and there's 3 more. So you're saying that I've admitted that a couple is 3?
Uh-huh. And a few is 2.
I still don't think that's true. Great catcher. Here's Babe Ruth in a Brooklyn Dodger uniform. In his twilight days, he was a first base coach for the Brooklyn Dodgers in the late 30s, and he wasn't very happy about it. He wanted to be a manager, and nobody ever let him manage. Even the Yankees. They said, the famous line was, "You can't even manage yourself, babe. How you gonna manage others?"
But why?
Well, I don't know, because he was a wild man. He was just a wild man. They said, how are you going to manage anybody else? You can't manage yourself. Who knows? But it made him sad. I wish he had been a manager just so he would have been happy about it. There's Justin Turner.
That was supposed to be mine. Remember? It
Yeah.
was in my room.
Yeah, well, it was with the collection. So you can now, okay, you can reclaim it.
It's mine.
All right. Thanks for hanging in with us, folks. So, here's the song about the great Dodger-Giant rivalry. Where's Piazza? You can't do them all. I mean, you can. Maybe another time. Still, yeah. Alston. Boston Brave as well. That's right. Started with one Boston team, ended with another Boston team. Just like Mays did. Started with a New York team, ended with a different New York team. Well, all the songs I've played this afternoon, we've been going a while now. Let's see. Let's just take a look at the game time right now. We're at about 2.5 hours in right now, so we're right on schedule. This is a game, you know. You come to a Facebook Live baseball event during the Hunkered In The Bunker times. We're not messing around. Come in, stay for a ball game. All the songs that I've played have just come out of normal writing songs. I never thought, oh, I should write a bunch of baseball songs. They just kind of happened in the course of things. Because it's just one of the things I love and think about. So it just weaves into everything else I do. This is, I think, maybe, well, people say, you know, I think David Margulies said, why don't you write a 42 song for my friend's Jackie Robinson thing? And of course, Judy Tint said, why don't you do the Bandy Pettitte song, Bring Him Back, make him come back? And my friend David Curl in Minneapolis said, how about a Halsey Hall song? So it's like that, but I never set out to just, I'm going to have a collection of baseball songs. It just happened. But this song about the Dodgers-Giants rivalry, I thought, well, if I'm going to do a show about the Dodgers-Giants rivalry with pictures and songs about it. Isotopes indeed. Albuquerque. Interesting about them, they got their name from the Simpsons team, you know. And the Mighty Ducks got their name from the movie The Mighty Ducks. There's probably more of those, I just can't think of them right now. Hey, thanks Keith Higby for the idea to do this baseball show on opening day. And thanks for that cool picture you sent that I was using for this. Yeah, diamond cuts, baby. In harmony with the homeless. They put out a whole bunch of baseball records. I think I was on every one. Springsteen was on one for Glory Days, you know, just because he said, play ball in high school. That's enough. We want you. Yes, yes.
Do you want this one? It's about baseball.
Oh, yeah? What teams are it about? What players?
Ah, it just says playing ball in high school.
Okay. Yes, we want that. Dylan was on one. Like a catfish can. Nobody throws a ball like an old catfish can. It's true, nobody could throw a ball like old Catfish can. So thanks for all those Diamond Cuts albums. In harmony with the homeless. That's what all that's for. Good to see you out there, Paulie Coon. We played some ball. We used to play ball on all those tours. The whole IJBC, we would play ball. We would, on our off days, that's all we did was just play ball. Because really, what else do you want to do? Play ball. For well over 100 years, one rivalry's been raw. Back to Wilbert Robinson, back to John McGraw. Back even before Babe Ruth broke in with the Sox. For a nickel or ride a streetcar from Brooklyn to the Bronx. Yes, from Ebbets Field in Brooklyn and the Bronx's Polo Grounds. Both sides seemed to save their best till the other was around. And Branch Rickey brought in Jackie, Nuke and Campy weren't far behind. I feel like I want to start this again. Sorry about that, but just want to give a better little run at it. It's not just a, you know, some songs are just songs, you know, and they sound good and whatever. Some songs are stories, you know, so you want to kind of settle in with it. For well over 100 years, one rivalry's been raw. Back to Wilbert Robinson, back to John McGraw. Yeah, back even before Babe Ruth broke in with the Sox. For a nickel, ride a streetcar from Brooklyn to the Bronx. From Ebbets Field in Brooklyn and the Bronx's Polo Grounds. Both sides seemed to save their best till the other was around. And Branch Rickey brought in Jackie, Nuke and Campy weren't far behind. It paved the way for Mays, Monty Irving to be signed. Yes, I always thought the Dodgers survived and even thrived when both teams pulled up stakes and headed west. Mays and all the Giants planted roots up by the bay, while Koufax and the Dodgers were the toast of L.A. They picked right up where they left off. The stadiums were filled. Drysdale and Pettitte, McCovey, Maury Wills. One August night in '65, it all came to a head when Merkle turned and cracked a bat on Johnny Roseboro's head. Rivalry, revelry, passions running hot from sea to shining sea. This ain't the real thing, ain't no fantasy. Rivalry, rivalry. This rivalry had Bobby Thompson shot heard round the world. 62, another playoff, Giants rally, flag unfurled. 68, Dietz at the plate, Drysdale plunked Dick Dietz. They called Dietz out for standing there, preserving Drysdale's streak. Here's Piazza. In '93, Piazza wrecked the Giants the final day. Just like in '82 when Morgan crushed hearts in L.A. The black and orange seems to suit the rainy, misty bay, while the flashy blue and white feels right down in sunny L.A. L.A. fans drive the freeways, Giants fans take the BART. Both teams that try to be better than the Yankees, mostly they aren't. At Giants Park they love a sourdough bread bowl in the fog. In L.A. they sing the praises of the Dodger dog. Rivalry, revelry, brick by brick, candlestick, Chavez Ravine, what a scene. Rivalry, rivalry. Now sometimes rivalries are fun, but sometimes hatreds run. Sometimes the fans get violent, and then it ain't no fun. Since that time the Giant Dodger thing's been kinda dark. Sometimes you're scared to wear your hat in the other team's park. Yeah, but they all play the same game with 108-stitch ball. Both have a bunch of pennants hanging on the wall. LA's got 5 series trophies, Giants have 3 cups. But even LA knows San Francisco's catching up. Bobby Bonds, Kid Berry sent balls a splashing in the bay. Bumgarner and Puig screamed at each other in LA. For 66 years, Dodger fans had Scully in the booth. Russ Hodges and John Miller could paint a story too. Just like yin needs yang, just like a hot dog needs a bun. Just like you need 3 bases and a plate to score a run. Just like Cain and Abel, they're baseball's warring brothers. But to be at their best, both sides need one another. Rivalry, revelry, passions running hot, sea to shining sea. This is the real thing, ain't no fantasy. Rivalry, 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 brick by brick, candlestick, Chavez Ravine, what a scene. Rivalry, rivalry. Well, it's the 9th inning, folks. It's the bottom of the 9th. It's, right now it's 3-2. So we'll see if they can hold the lead or if we'll have, in fact, a 10th or an 11th inning. I think we did 7 miles an hour, but thanks. That was early. We've been here a while. We had a whole bunch of folks here about the 2nd and 3rd inning. The place was full, jam-packed, rocking. We got about half those folks left, but as often happens, the game is heating up, and those folks are going to be the lucky ones. They're the ones who are going to be able to tell everybody else just how things came out. We want to thank all our friends for coming down. We want to thank our sponsors. We're sponsored by the ALS Foundation and by Music Cares, and we're sponsored by In Harmony with the Homeless, and we're also sponsored by Peanuts and Green Grass. We're going to be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific time, playing a slightly more eclectic, random bunch of tunes. We're doing the Everett Roos Wilderness Song birthday show for Everett Roos on Saturday, also at 5. Doing a kids show Saturday morning, noon Pacific. And we'll do one more thing for the weekend on Sunday, also noon Pacific, for our European friends. Sure, great to have you all here. I'm glad you found time in your day to drop on by. The Unbeliever show is Unbeliever tomorrow. Unbeliever. If you're referring to the you want that song tomorrow? Okay. Well, that can probably happen. I decided to go to the ball game today, so I jump in the car and get on the freeway. But the night's real hot and the traffic's slow. I catch the first 3 innings on the radio. Miss 5 grand slams, well ain't that a shame? All's fair in love and war and a baseball game. Coming out to the game was such a fine thing to do. 50,000 other people thought so too. So I find me a scalper who can't be beat. $20 for a front row gold box seat. But the usher says, sorry, that's for yesterday's game. All's fair in love and war and a baseball game. So I brought my way in and I'm glad I've been patient. I can almost see the field with some imagination. I drove through the south side after dark for a view of the roof of Comiskey Park. The guy next to me thought he caught me looking at his dame, so he punched me, that's fair, at the baseball game. A hot dog, some peanuts, and a beer or two. The most balanced meal I ever knew. And some guy says,
All right, let me hear you now.
And everyone stretches, knocking over my chow. I almost get thrown out for spilling beer on a frame. That's ushers, the Andy Frayne ushers. All's fair in love and war and a baseball game. But by the time I'm able to turn my attention to the players on the field whom I've hardly mentioned, I ask my neighbor, what happened? I missed the last play. He turns to me and says, rain delay. I went 4 hours just to hear the umpire say, that's it, go home, no more baseball game. It took me 5 hours getting the old car back home without gas, but with a newly dented chrome. I jump in bed and I turn out the light. I dream of scalpers and bad bleacher seats all night. I needed plenty of rest so I could take the same trip the very next night to the baseball game. They either spill my beer or call me dumb. Give me the worst seat in the stadium. Hit me on the head with a batted ball, but don't take away my Bill Buckner doll. Call me crazy, take down my name on sparing love and war at a baseball game. Well, folks, I got a peanut. I think I got a peanut shell in there. Not a shell, just, you know, the little red part that's around the peanut. I don't know what that's called. It's not the shell. Is it the skin? I don't know what that is. Anybody know what that is? Thanks for coming around. Stay well. Drink your warm stuff. Gargle with warm salt water. Drink your tea, coffee, hot chocolate, whatever it is. Drink warm stuff. That's just that red nut thing. Wash your clothes a lot, wash your hands, all that stuff. Stay in.
And use hand sanitizer when you're not.
That's right. Stay creative, stay sane, stay connected. That's it. Thanks for singing so many songs. Do you want to throw out the last pitch too?
There's a last pitch.
Why not? Let's throw out the last pitch. Let's go back out where we started. We're going to throw out the fabled last pitch.
This is raining.
All right, here. You got it one? So, is this a... Okay. How about 2 pitches? Let's see a softball pitch and then a baseball pitch.
There's a softball pitch, not too great.
Well, go.
There's a softball pitch.
Here's a baseball pitch. Nice stretch.
Kershaw stretch.
Kershaw stretch. Try one of those. Nah? Good? All right. Stay safe, do all the things you're asked to do, and we'll see you again next time, real soon, on this same channel.